On this new moon, I want you to ground into taking flight. That is the message from the moon on this Capricorn new moon we have happening January 18th, 2026. There is so much energy here at this new moon, and it's pretty much all harmonious, and it's in Capricorn. It's about goals and about building the new future. There is spaciousness here in the new year. We are caught between the astrological and Chinese New Years, along with our Gregorian New Year that we just had. And this is a moment to pause and really breathe life into your dreams within a bit of a reprieve and a cocoon. This one is so sweet. You're going to love it. But first, I'm Laura Custo, and this is the Moon Method. Every week, I break down the best way to use the moon's energy based on its larger 9-month patterns that surround its very visible monthly patterns, which we know as our phases and cycle of the moon. So if you haven't yet, grab my free guide. It's called the Moon Phase Compass, and it is full of simple foundational knowledge that you can use forever and ever to work with the moon's monthly repeatable cycle. Go grab that at lauracusto.com/guide. I'll put a link at the top of the show notes. Okay, this new moon in Capricorn, let's look at this a little closer and through our 4 steps. The first one of which is always energy. So we're going to start with the sign that the moon is in, which is Capricorn. Capricorn energy is very structured. It is about building. It is about being responsible. There's a lot of planning, and it's very big picture and long range, okay? It is not just the near term. It wants to make the plan for the next 10, 20 years, okay? So that is the energy that we will all naturally be feeling with the sun and the moon in Capricorn. Sun, our sense of self, moon, our emotions. Now, your energy, we're going to then overlay the new moon, the fact that it is a new moon. Now, this one blends so nicely, okay? The new moon is a time to get still and dream and set new goals. Capricorn, if there was a sign about setting goals, it is Capricorn, okay? So solid plans, thorough plans. And, we've got the spaciousness to do it. Like I said, we'll get into that a little bit more, but we're smack in the middle of the Gregorian calendar New Year, January 1st, and then our lunar and solar New Years that are coming up with the Chinese New Year, as well as the astrological New Year. So, okay, that's the energy that we're in. So if you can really just imagine a lot of grounding, a lot of thoughtfulness and planning and being strategic, and also not rushing this. We're really taking the time to be thorough. Capricorn is also the most thorough sign. Okay, now let's look at step 2. Step 2, some facts around the energy, okay? This is where we get into like the patterns and just, kind of like what's happening, what do things look like geometrically, all right? So at this new moon in Capricorn, we have the sun, the moon, Mercury, and Mars. 4 planetary objects in this Capricorn energy. That is a lot. And then in the very first degrees of Aquarius, 1 degree of Aquarius and 3 degrees of Aquarius, we have Venus and Pluto, respectively. So we have 6 planetary objects that are all smushed together. It's a lot of energy in one spot in the sky. Now, those 4 objects in Capricorn, that gives us a lot of focus on Capricorn energy. So we have our emotions focused on all that Capricorn stuff. That's the moon. We have our identity and our sense of self. That's the sun. We have how we think and what we say. Mercury is in Capricorn. And we have our actions, which is Mars, also in Capricorn. So what you feel, what you think, your sense of self, and how you act, all focused in a very responsible, strategic, planning, long-term vision kind of energy, okay? And then in Aquarius, oh, by the way, these are at the very end of Capricorn. We're talking like 26 to 28 degrees of Capricorn. Now, in Aquarius, this pairs really well with this Capricorn energy. And what's interesting is that the traditional ruler of Aquarius is the same as the traditional and modern ruler of Capricorn, which is Saturn, okay, our friend Saturn. Saturn's not a very fun planet, but it is how we get things done in a very responsible way, right? So we have Aquarius traditionally ruled by Saturn. But Aquarius is an air sign, whereas Capricorn is an earth sign. So earth signs are more, think about your physical world, tangible things, right? Foundations, structures, where you live, where you work, your home, but building tangible structures in the earthly realm. Aquarius is thinking. So it's a lot of mental, it's thought processes, it's ideas. But Aquarius is the most evolved air sign. So we're not talking about it's probably best if I correlate this to the other two air signs. So Gemini is the first air sign, and Gemini energy it's like the child, and it's you think about children and how they make friendships and how children think. It's developmental, okay? Then you get into Libra, which is one-on-one partnership, so it gets a little bit more mature and how you relate to others. Aquarius energy is how you relate to the collective. It's big picture ideas, it's humanitarianism, it's evolved thoughts. It's also technology, how we connect to all of our networks. Okay, so in Aquarius, I say all that to get us to the two planets in Aquarius, right? We have Venus, which is pleasure, and Pluto, which represents transformation and rebirth. So also known as shadow work, okay? Now, all those planets are also harmonious with Neptune, Saturn, and Uranus, which leaves Jupiter as the only primary planet that really isn't being aspected here. It's in loose opposition to everything in Capricorn. But it's exalted where it is at. It's in Cancer. It's in a very good position. But that opposition means that, as we go through this new moon, our thoughts, we may sense and feel some challenge to dream big. That's Jupiter. It's opposing this energy, and Jupiter expands. And so it's like we might be thinking big and Jupiter's opposite us being big, okay? So you are going to want to work to reconcile that if it comes up for you, and that would present, say, you're going through the process, working with this energy of the new moon, setting your intentions, and you get this idea in your head, oh, I might be dreaming too big. That's a red flag. You want to work to reconcile that energy, okay? That's what you want to do with an opposition. You really want to find a way to work with all the energy and make both sides happy, okay? All right. Also, I want to mention Capricorn, all this Capricorn energy where the moon is. Capricorn does rule a specific area of your chart, depending on the unique configuration of your chart. There's 12 different possibilities here. Does it oversee your sense of self, your money, your communications, your home, your pleasure, your routines, your relationships? That's 7 of them, okay? So based on your chart, you will have a specific area where this energy is most supportive. And so if you have your chart and you know what I'm talking about, go grab it and figure out what Capricorn oversees so you can focus your intentions on that area of life. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I have 2 ways that I can help you. One is through a short course called Moon Map, which is sort of it's a short course, takes a few hours to go through, but at the end of that course, you will get your map. And then forever and ever and ever, you can use that map to know when a planet or the moon is in any sign, what area of life that oversees for you, okay? You can find that short course at lauracusto.com/map. The second way I can help is through my monthly membership called Moon Chat. Now, whereas Moon Map is sort of a DIY, every phase, figure it out for yourself, Moon Chat is more of I give you custom messages right when you need them membership, okay? So 2 days before every moon phase, you'll get an email with all of this information, and it will be custom to your chart, so I will tell you what area of life is being supported. You can find that at lauracusto.com/membership. Okay, so here at the end of step 2, we know it's a new moon in Capricorn, and we're being called, back to the message from the moon, we're being called to ground into taking flight, and we may have also zeroed in on the area of life that is being supported. Okay. Let's move on to step 3, the meaning behind the energy. Now, here is where we dig into what other planetary themes are going on and what that means for us here at this new moon. So why is the message specifically ground into taking flight? All right, well, the ground part comes from the Capricorn energy, okay? So, and then also to a degree, Pluto and Venus in Aquarius, because that higher mind and humanitarianism is also very responsible. There's care and concern, which makes me think of love and Venus in Aquarius. So care and concern for others. As we evolve and transform, how can we help others do the same? That is very Plutonian. We're evolving and transforming. Pluto is transformation, regeneration, and rebirth. So there's all this massive energy sitting here. Now we're also in harmony with Saturn. Saturn is still in Pisces, and we're still in that year of the snake, okay? We don't leave the year of the snake until February 17th. So I'm telling you, keep on shedding, keep on releasing the last of what is left for you to shed. Get rid of it. That's the harmony there. And we're also in harmony with Neptune, higher mind and what is possible with others. Neptune is still in Pisces, but this is our last new moon, the last one we will ever see in our lifetimes, because it won't happen for another 150 years or so, where Neptune will come back to Pisces. So with that energy and that harmony, it's about higher mind again, and what is possible with others, and what have I learned from others about spirituality and the higher mind? What lessons have I learned about that, whether it's learning or whether it's also facing and confronting attachment to others and being more collectively attached to addictions, for example. This time of Neptune and Pisces was, we were prone to being drawn into those things, be they really, really good for us, like learning about spirituality, which could also have a dark side too, right? Like tapping into the collective and getting too dependent on others for our ultimate source with our higher power and our spirituality. And then Neptune also represents escapism. So you can do that through spirituality, which again could be really good, or through addictions and just escaping reality through low vibrational means. And so with Neptune here at the very end of Pisces, we're looking at all the lessons that we've learned over the last 12 years that it's been in Pisces, and incorporating those into these intentions of, the new you and what you want to build, right? Capricorn. Finally, we have harmony with Uranus. Uranus is where we get the take flight. And specifically, Neptune and Saturn are in more of a conscious harmony, meaning you have to be conscious of it and use it. Whereas Uranus is more unconscious because it's at a different angle of harmony. And that's, again, Uranus take flight. It's unexpected, it's sudden, and you're not going to have to be conscious of this to do it. So as you're sitting there setting your intentions, if you feel things coming up that are just a little harebrained or out of left field, I'm telling you, roll with it, all right? And we'll get into that here in the final step too, where I talk about more of the energy here. So, but the thing is too, Uranus is in an earth sign along with Capricorn. So they're an angle, it's called a trine, which happens between same elements. Capricorn's earth, so is Taurus. So things like transforming your physicality, your body, your resources, your money, you have energy for that here at this new moon. And finally, when it comes to the step 3, the meaning behind the energy here, we have this lull between, I'm trying to find my notes here. There we go. This lull between our Gregorian New Year and these lunar solar New Years, the Chinese New Year on February 17th, and our astrological New Year on the spring equinox, which is March 20th. So the moon is saying, you are so well supported structurally right now. It's in Capricorn with the sun, but it's got Mercury and Mars there too. And it's got Venus not too far away, hanging out with Pluto. Again, they're all just in these like really, really great spots to just let you relax, feel safe, and be structurally supported. And there's nothing to do at the moment to just feel and be supported. And allow that support to give you the safety to reflect on all that you are, all that you've overcome and accomplished. And then once you're relaxed into that, the questions you can ask yourself: what more needs to go in the next 6 weeks until we see that Chinese New Year, and then again the astrological New Year about a month later? And during that time, by the way, Saturn will also move into Aries. So we'll be done with the shedding. What really is your higher calling? That's the next question. What is your next calling, your higher calling? And specifically, who are you? That's the sun. What do you stand for? Mercury. That involves some thinking. How do you want to spend your days? That's Mars. What are you doing? What inspires you? That's Venus. That's how you feel really, really good. And how can you use what you have overcome to build anew and help others? That is Pluto in Aquarius. And you are emotionally supported here to do all of this because that's the moon. All right, step 4, take action. So how do you take action? All right, new moon, it's a lot of inner work, right? Capricorn New Moon is asking you to pause. Capricorn, we are slow and deliberate, right? Imagine that mountain goat on the side of the mountain plotting its path. It doesn't move very quickly. It sits there and it thinks. And it takes some spacious time. And it reflects on those questions I just asked. Okay? And to really get into this energy, you have to feel into what works for you, right? You want to get to that place of feeling that structured spaciousness and safety where you can just relax, exhale. Oh my goodness. Whether it's breathing, maybe you sit down and journal, free flow. I'm not talking about setting intentions here. I'm talking about getting things out of you, okay? Moving that energy. Maybe it's moving your body. All right, right? We're in Earth. So we're talking about the earthly realm, which is your physical body. So get your mind out of the picture here. Sometimes, again, depending on who you are, I'm one of those people. My mind can get very busy. And so sometimes the only way to get my mind out of the way is to go out and do something physical. Feeling the energy. What inspires you? How can you get inspired? Really, that's your goal here, is to get inspired. You don't want to sit down and write until you have found that spark within you. And when I say that, the spark of your new intentions, and this is every new moon, that spark, it should make you smile. It should put a skip in your step. Maybe you shout like, woo, like literally that's the level of inspired you want to get before you sit down to journal. And those moments, what they look like for you. They're different for everybody. I'll be honest. I've done all 3 of those that I've just said. I had one today, but we have phases of our life, right? Some phases of our life are full of these moments that are inspiration because we found our groove and we ride them one to the next. Those are those sweet, sweet phases of life. Other times we get into a funk and they're harder to find. And I'm here to say, 2025, if you shed a lot, it can feel like a funk and it can be hard to get out. So it's staying patient and processing things, both mentally and physically. Again, like what do you need to do to keep that energy moving and to find that inspiration? And it's staying present to that question. What do I need? What do I need right now? What do I need right now? Sometimes it's to just stop asking and go to bed, right? But, get down and move. Do I need to sit down and journal? Do I need to talk to someone? Maybe not talk about this, but to just about anything. Get out, be social, get some perspective on how other people are living and what they're thinking. But keep the energy moving until you get that spark. And when you do, notice it, have your moment of gratitude, and ride that feeling into writing down your intentions. Okay? Ground into taking flight. That's the message this Capricorn New Moon. And that's how to work with it. And I hope you found that helpful. All right. Before we move on here, one other thing I want to mention is that here at the start of 2026, I have the new 2026 Moon Chat Journal updated and ready for purchase. It's a beautiful digital download. It's a product that you can use electronically or physically by printing it. And in the journal, you will have all 52 moon phases for 2026. The journal has color-coded calendar previews for each month. There is a spot to write down your observations and intentions and track in a very systemic, easy to find in the future way, right? Because we're doing these larger 9-month gestational cycles. It organizes everything for you beautifully so that as you start working with the moon and tracking these phases every week, it's very easy. You have everything you need at your fingertips. So I'll put a link for this journal at the top of the show notes. You can find it at lauracusto.com/journal. And it's also a lovely accompaniment and works seamlessly with the moon map as well as moon chat. All right, so that's what I have for you this week. And before I go, I would love to hear from you. So what is coming up for you? What are you feeling at this Capricorn moon, drawn to ground into? Is there anything more possibly that you can still shed and make use of these last months of the year of the snake? And what are you feeling inspired to really dream into that you are ready to have take flight in your life? Drop those thoughts in the comments below. And until next week, as always, take care.